When it comes to guns, something like 35 people every single day are killed by illegal handguns or commit suicide with illegal handguns across America, and I am running to stop it.
Help me understand this. Is there an epidemic of people killing other people or themselves with machine guns made after May 1986? Because those are the only guns I know that are banned and thus technically illegal guns. But according to the FBI, the vast majority of gun deaths are committed with handguns. So I don't think illegal guns means what Bloomberg thinks they mean. Then again, Bloomberg thinks any gun in the hands of a civilian is an illegal gun.
To shoot, you just do not want the average citizen carrying a gun in a crowded place.
65% of gun deaths in this country are suicides. There ain't a gun control on the planet that's gonna stop those suicides unless you ban all the guns. Then you will have stopped suicide by gun. But that's not saying much considering places like Japan don't allow civilian handgun ownership. And they have twice the number of suicides as the US. So, yeah, there's that. But hey, Bloomberg, please don't let my facts get in the way of your Napoleon tyrannical ambitions to destroy the Second Amendment.
I've taken on the NRA and Donald Trump, and I'm glad to say that in many states around the country, we have won, and now I'm going to try to bring that to Washington, D.C.
Bloomberg bragging about taking on the NRA and winning is like saying you took on the ACLU to restrict free speech and won. You think telling the American people that you took on an organization that's based around defending a constitutional right is a selling point in a country that started a revolutionary war because in part another country tried to restrict their gun ownership?
Nobody wants to take away anybody's guns. It's protected by the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution.
In the pivotal Supreme Court case of Heller that found that Americans had an individual right to own a gun, Bloomberg filed an amicus brief asking the court to find that Americans don't actually have an individual right to own a gun. You've been violating constitutional rights since you were mayor of New York. They told you your stop and frisk strategy violated the Fourth Amendment and was racist as hell. But did you care? No. As a matter of fact, you doubled down and justified it by saying, but it saved lives.
In today's decision, federal judge Shira Shinlin wrote the city violated New Yorkers' constitutional rights. In their zeal to defend a policy that they believe to be effective, they have willfully ignored overwhelming proof that the policy of targeting the right people is racially discriminatory. Last year, a little over 9% of those stopped were arrested. But Mayor Michael Bloomberg defended the program. He said it's prevented more than 7,300 murders since he's taken office.
And there is just no question that Stop, Question, Frisk has saved countless lives. And we know that most of those lives saved, based on the statistics, have been Black and Hispanic young men.
Mayor Bloomberg will appeal the judge's ruling, but Scott, in the meantime, New York City police will continue to enforce the stop and frisk policy while it's under review.
But how convenient that years later, after you're no longer the mayor and now running to be president, you go to a black church to pander with a half-ass apology saying, well, you know, maybe I was wrong about stop and frisk.
I can't change history. However, today, I want you to know that I realized back then I was wrong, and I'm sorry.
A stunning apology from former Mayor Michael Bloomberg Sunday morning as he stood before the predominantly Black congregation at the Christian Cultural Center in East New York, Brooklyn. The admission coming as he eyes a run for the White House.
It's about trying to get votes.
It's real convenient. That's what it looks like.
Mayor de Blasio standing with those skeptical New Yorkers, expressing his doubts about Bloomberg's sincerity.
People aren't stupid. Like, they can figure out whether someone is honestly addressing an issue or whether they're acting out of convenience. There were many points where he could have acknowledged this. It seems awfully strange that it took till now.
When it comes to constitutional rights, Bloomberg is like an abusive spouse. They'll beat you 1 minute and then tell you how much they love you and that they would never hurt you and never do it again. Then 2 minutes later, they're beating you again for taking too long to serve dinner. Bloomberg's website literally says he wants to pass red flag laws, which is literally the taking of guns away from people without due process, which is a blatant violation of the 5th, 14th, and 2nd Amendment. His site also says he wants to ban AR-15s. That's also the literal taking away of guns. Bloomberg also started an organization called Mayors Against Illegal Guns, where one of the mayors quit the organization because he said that he had come to realize that the group's objective was to promote confiscation of guns from law-abiding citizens. Bloomberg is also quoted saying, "I think having a gun at home when you have kids is really dumb." Bloomberg wants to create a police state where the government controls every aspect of your life while doing his bidding. He is the walking, talking definition of a statist. It oozes from his crusty, dried up pores. He can't help it. It's just who he is. He can barely fake it when he's put on the spot, which is why all of his campaign speeches are so contrived and controlled, because otherwise all of his statist ambitions come spilling out like this.
But it's the job of law enforcement to have guns and to decide when to shoot. You just do not want the average citizen carrying a gun in a crowded place.
Now ask yourself, does this sound like someone you can trust with your constitutional rights?
But the courts have ruled you can have reasonable restrictions like background checks. Nobody, including NRA members when you poll, think that we should be selling guns to minors, to people with psychiatric problems, or people with criminal records. Something's got to be done.
Wait, who is selling guns to minors? Who's selling guns to people with psychiatric problems besides people on the black market? Who's selling guns to criminals besides people on the black market? When I go buy a gun, I have to undergo a background check. Yes, even at gun shows. The background check you're talking about isn't a background check. It's the pretext to a national gun registry, which is and will be used for national gun confiscation after you determine that we still need to do more about gun control. No thank you, Skeletor. You might be able to sell that snake oil to the people you give money to, but not to me or anyone else in this community who can see straight through that nonsense.
We have to start by getting things done that Americans care about. What do Americans care about? They care about climate change. They care about improving schools. They care about creating good jobs. And they care about stopping gun violence.
You care about this unnecessary descriptor called gun violence. We care about stopping all violence, which is why we buy guns and exercise our Second Amendment right. The same reason why you have armed security guards protecting you everywhere you go. No one really likes Bloomberg. He has the personality of the piece of chewing gum stuck to the bottom of the pews of the Texas church he said shouldn't have had guns to defend themselves. But he has a lot of money, and a lot of money can buy a lot of fake friends and fake support from very powerful people. But make no mistake, Bloomberg is as passionate about taking away your gun rights as I am about defending them. That is why he is going into some of the most pro-gun states in the country. He knows people in Texas think it will never happen here because we're so pro-gun. So we don't vote in midterm elections. We become complacent and relaxed while he's throwing around money like a gun control sugar daddy to these politicians on the state and local level to insidiously push his gun control agenda. That is what's happened in Virginia. And that's what he's trying to do now in Texas and in Georgia. As the saying goes, overconfidence is the way to give your soul to the devil an inch at a time. When it comes to the Second Amendment, Bloomberg is the devil. He has the money and the patience to destroy the Second Amendment an inch at a time. Right now, there's a culture war against the Second Amendment, which is why I need your help spreading our message to counter their message. You can do this by leaving a comment, sharing this video, and click the bell and subscribe button. Let my voice be your voice, and let them know you want to keep America tactical. Because the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed wasn't a suggestion, it was a directive. Also, if you're wondering where to get your I will not comply, I lost all of my guns in a boating accident, the AR-15 is protected by the Second Amendment, and your state-specific Keep America tactical shirts, click the links in the description section of this video.